What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Kellen here again with Droid Life, continuing our coverage of the HTC One. So what we're going to do in this video is compare the device size-wise and sort of feel, materials and all of that to some of the top devices out right now. Now we don't have a Galaxy S4, so we can't do that comparison. Once we get one, we'll obviously do another comparison there. But what we're going to do is compare it to Galaxy Note 2, Galaxy S3, Galaxy Nexus, because I know a lot of you still have that phone and you might be upgrading soon because your contract's probably getting close to being ready. We've got a Nexus 4 and then the Razr Maxx HD. So to start off, let's go Razr Maxx HD. So if we compare back sides, I'll try to line up the bottoms here. You see the HTC One just a little bit taller. The HTC One is actually one of the tallest devices I've ever had. It doesn't, it's pocketable, but I've already run into some issues where I haven't been able to fit it in certain places. I know that probably sounds weird. It has to do with running. But anyways, it's not as pocketable as some of these other devices. So here's the backside. I would say it's a little bit less wide than the Razr Maxx HD. And then here we go thickness-wise. See, the Max HD is going to be thicker. It's just got a massive battery in there. One would expect it to be thicker. HTC One, definitely a thin device. Here's a front look. So you've got a giant chin on the bottom of the Max, but you also have a pretty big chin on the HTC One as well. They're both sort of edge-to-edge devices, a little bit of bezel on each, not a lot, but definitely still noticeable. So there you go, Razr Maxx HD. Now I will say, when you're talking about premium build qualities, we can talk about Samsung phones in a second, how they just feel plasticky and cheap. The Razr Maxx HD definitely does not feel plasticky and cheap. While I'm not a big fan of the Kevlar look on the backside here, this phone feels really good in hand as far as premium build quality goes. It's got the rounded edge. This back feels really soft touch. So when you compare premium build quality to the One, I would say it's not on its level, but it's probably the phone that's closest to the HTC One. The HTC One with this all aluminum body is just beautiful, and no phone really matches it at this time. If you want, as far as Android goes, the iPhone clearly is on this level because it's an all unibody aluminum design as well. So the HTC One is there. No other Android phone I would say is there, but the Razrs, the Motorola devices just in general feel a little bit higher quality, I would say. At least my personal preference. Here we go next to the Nexus 4. So Nexus 4, give you a little angle there. It's definitely shorter, a little bit wider though. And I'm gonna put these to the back, but not too close. I don't want that aluminum, destroying my Nexus glass. So Nexus 4, definitely a little bit thicker. And if we go front, see, the Nexus 4 is mostly an edge-to-edge display, I would say. At least it comes pretty close. It does have a little bit of a chin. And now I will say, after having the HTC One for a couple of days now, I'm actually missing my Nexus 4. I know it's going to sound really weird, but I've been using it for so long. In hand, the Nexus 4, it's my favorite device. It's just the rounded edges on the back are soft enough and round enough. They fit in your hand like no other device, at least in my opinion. HTC One, it's built to fit because of this rounded sort of back, to also be really palmable, if that's a word. And it feels good in hand. Just for me, because I've been using the Nexus 4 for so long, I'm so used to holding this device that it doesn't feel quite as good, but I have a feeling that's going to change. Part of the HTC One, there's this sort of, not necessarily a learning curve, but you have to get used to the feel of it. This all aluminum backside, it's something that Android users haven't ever felt before. And you have to get used to it with the way a metal phone feels, not only in your hand, but in your pocket, and when you're just touching it. Like, I would refrain from scratching your fingernails down. It's like scratching a chalkboard, like it would just probably kill you. But this whole metal design just feels a little bit different. I just got to get used to it is all. I'm just so used to plastic phones. So Nexus 4, I really love the feel of this device weight-wise. HTC One I love as well. I'm just getting used to the whole metal idea. So there's Nexus 4. Here's Galaxy Nexus quickly, just because I know many of you still have this phone. So you can see HTC One, definitely taller. I'd say they're about equal in width. Thickness, I have the extended battery in there. You can see the Galaxy Nexus is definitely thicker than the HTC One. And then here's the front again. So 4.7-inch display on the One, 4.65 on the Galaxy Nexus. There's a look at those bezels again. So, the Galaxy Nexus just feels like a Samsung phone. You guys know how this thing feels. Next to HTC One, it's clear that HTC One just feels like a more premium device. All right, here is the Galaxy S3. So I hate to do this, but when I set these phones next to each other the first time, I just laughed. The bezel on this white version of the Galaxy Nexus is so huge compared to this device. And when you're talking premium build qualities, look, Samsung makes plastic phones, right? We know they have this reputation for feeling and looking cheap. I'm sorry, but the Galaxy S3 compared to this phone, it just looks unbelievably cheap. And it just feels like a lightweight plastic. This almost feels like there's nothing here. This just has a little bit of heft to it because of the metal. Not heavy by any means, just has a little more weight. Galaxy S3 just feels like a little plastic guy. So here you go, side. Galaxy S3, I would say maybe just a little bit thicker. Maybe not a lot, maybe just a little bit. Definitely shorter, definitely wider. So there's the Galaxy S3. And last but not least, just for fun, let's do the Note 2. So Note 2 and its 5.5 inch display, you can see it just dwarfs the One, even though the One's a pretty tall device. Here you go, thickness. Note's gonna be thicker, it's got a big old battery in it. And then if we look at the back, so again, you got that plastic build with the Note 2. I wish I had a DNA on hand, but HTC wanted that back. So this is what we get comparison-wise. So again, you've got a mix of materials, but HTC really went premium with the HTC One, and it's noticeable. Compared to any of these other devices, it just feels like a premium product. Again, it feels weird. I'm not gonna lie, it feels unbelievably weird to hold a phone that's made of metal when you've been holding plastic phones like all of these for so long. So it's taken some getting used to. I'm definitely enjoying it. We'll have more on this, obviously full review coming up. We'll do some more comparisons. Who knows, we might even throw a benchmark here. We've got some camera work to do. A lot of stuff going on with the HTC One, so continue to follow along with us. We're Droid Life. Peace.